Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a new Hamilton for you. This is the new Field Khaki and it's available in a couple of different sizes. We've got the 42 here, but there is also a 38. And I would say there's one reason why you should get the 38, but stay tuned to that because when you notice it, it just stands out like a sore thumb. So anyway, overall, let's face it, it doesn't look a bad watch. It's got to be their biggest selling watch. The retail of this now, I believe the RIP is coming in at £715, but if you speak to First Class Watches, you will be able to get a discount on that price. Remember, this is the one with the bracelet. There are other variations out there. You can get it with a leather strap also. But, you know, it's one of those, I always generally think it's better to buy the watch with the bracelet first, and you can always go down to a leather strap if you want to at some point, but it's harder to go back up. But before I carry on with this review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth for allowing me to review this piece. Lots of cool, different kind of funky watches. Well worth popping into if you're in the Midlands area. If you're a little bit further afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description and at the bottom of the page. Now, all I ask, if you do contact them, please mention the channel as it really would help. So anyway, as mentioned, there are two different case sizes. This one is the 42mm case size. The thickness of a watch, now I've got to applaud them for this, because very rare is a dimension I find under what is stated. I think they actually state this is 11mm thick and I'm reading about 10.8, 10.9. So hats off to them on that one. The lug to lug is rather long at 52mm. Not quite sure why they did that. And the strap size on this model is 22mm. The dial, I love this blue colour. I really do like it. I like how they've broken up the dial here with these different contrasting blues. You get a different kind of hue with each one, and I think that looks really good for it. Also, well, out of the minute track here, I love, basically it's blue all the way across, but it's just the way it catches the light. What I'm not quite so keen on, and I understand why they do it because it is the whole thing with this one, is the sheer overload of information. I'm certain if you count, you've got so many numbers going on here. It is absolutely crazy. You know, you've got your standard 1236 and then you've got your 24-hour readings in the center. Then you've even, just in case you're not quite sure how to read a watch, they've even included it out on the seconds here. So, there is a heck of a lot going on. It's like you've got 12, 24, 60, 135. There is a lot of numbers, and that's before you even get to the date window over here at the 3 o'clock position. The hands are quite nice. They're, kind of syringe style sort of coming up here. I like the little red tip to the second hand. It does look kind of cool. The hands do have a decent amount of lume in them. The actual hour markers, obviously being that they're only pips, don't really do so well. But the lume on the hands is pretty good. And the finish of the hands is also good. But one thing I have to mention is the date window over here at 3 o'clock. Because of the diameter of the movement in this, the date window interferes and gets in the way of this 15 marker here. Honestly, why didn't they just get rid of this number here? Because it kind of looks wrong. You got your numbers carrying on as you would expect like that, but no, they come round in around and around there. I completely understand. This is basically in essence the movement they're using. If I put that on there, you can see, let me get a better view of it, you can see why it is where it is, because that is where the date window is actually situated. But if you were to buy the 38mm model, you've actually got a clean run on the 24-hour indicators. They actually do create the proper circle. Honestly, I would love to have seen this without that there. It just looks, it looks like they could have done so much better if they'd got rid of that personally. It's just an overload. But it's still, horses for courses. Some people like it, some people don't. As we come past this, we have this rather nice domed sapphire crystal. They've done a really nice job on this. It looks perfectly integrated into the actual bezel. But It does have AR coating, but as you can see, it does pick up an awful amount of reflections. Now you may say, okay, there's lots of lights, it's bound to. But if I show this here, that is the same as it comes out there. Obviously this is domed, so it will pick up more reflections, but as you can see, it does pick up an awful lot of them. For a field watch especially, I thought they would have maybe done a slightly better job with the AR, but it's, you know, fingers crossed they will actually listen and, you know, at some point do that. The case, well, I say the bezel, fully polished and fixed, looks nice. The overall case, it's just a nice feeling case. They've, you know, no sharp edges. They've done a nice job on there. I love the brushwork coming across here. We have radial brushwork on top of the actual lugs there. Overall, it is nice. I'm surprised they didn't drill the lugs. I thought being a field watch, you might want to do that. But it is what it is. The crown signed. It's not a screw down crown, but you do have 100 meters of water resistant with this one. So fair play there. You know, it's after all not really a dive watch, and so manually windable crown without screw down is perfectly okay. As we turn this one around, we are greeted with the H10 movement. Now this is part of the Powermatic 80 range of watches, and I actually put this one on the time graph. I think it was coming out, it took a little bit of time to stable, but I was getting, I think it was around about -1 second or so. So hats off to them, no problem there. 80 hours of power reserve. I think it's 23 joules, bidirectional winding, all the good stuff. Yep, so no problem. And a nice display case back there. Some people don't like them, but I do like them, because sometimes you can have a watch stop and you think, oh my God, what's happened? And quite often, case clamps come loose and they jam up into the balance, but you'd actually be able to see out with a display case back. I always find that's a nice little, you know, handy feature. The bracelet, don't know, I'm not quite so keen on the split link in the center there, but you know, it's definitely a thing. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. If you want the full oyster style one, you have to go up to the, I think the Murphy's got that. But, you know, it feels a decent solid bracelet. Is it screws? I don't think it is. I think it is actually just push pins. Yeah, you can tell you've got arrows to indicate which way they need to be pushed. There's no dive link extension on this. As we've said, this isn't actually a diver's watch, so fair play. And it does have 3 levels of micro adjustment, which is good. I believe one of their models, can't remember which one it was now, Scuba or something, only had 2, which was a bit crazy. Obviously, this is just all the protection stuff. I've left it on here as it is a review piece. How does it close? Yeah, that feels all nice and solid, no problem at all there. Let me put this on my wrist so you got an idea how it looks. Zoom out. Quick wrist check. I'm wearing my Zin 103. It's an old model now, discontinued. This variation is, though there are still others. And I say, Bob has got the rather nice Longines Conquest, the new model on there, and it is a very cool watch. So let's put this on. My wrist size is 7¼ inches, which is about 18.5 centimeters, and that's it on there. Due to the long lug to lug, it actually looks like quite a decent sized watch, because you read all the way out to here and here. So you don't just read the dial, you read the lugs, and so it does look quite, you know, quite a decent size on my wrist there. This definitely, yeah, if you've got a smaller wrist, I would strongly recommend going for the 38mm model, as the lug to lugs will be a lot shorter on that. That is quite a long lug to lug. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the review, and any questions, leave them in the comments below. But most importantly, you stay safe up there, guys. All the best. Bye.